Hello and welcome to People Who Like Each Other. I'm your host, Madeline, and I'll be talking to a wide variety of couples about their relationships and love stories. So if you enjoy listening to the show, it helps me out if you leave a review and you rate the show. If you don't like it, don't leave a review, actually, but you can email me because I love feedback. So as always, we're gonna start out the episode with a fun dating story. And this week I'm really excited because we got a really good one from comedian and writer Ellory Smith. Ellory writes for Adult Swim's Robot Chicken, and she runs a comedy show here in LA called Funnelingus. Okay, now buckle up and get ready for this amazing date.
So this is a story about a first date I went on when I lived in Boston. We met on some dating app and he picked the bar. And so I went and he was a half hour late. And then when he got there, he decided he didn't actually like that bar very much. So we got up and we walked to a second bar. And then when we got to that bar, we're eating and we got drinks and he pulls out this book. And it turned out to be a book that his mom had written about him, about his high school basketball career and like how to raise a basketball star, self-published, of course. And I asked if I could keep it because I thought that was really funny. And he said, no, it wasn't a gift. It was just for me to look at. So that was great. And finally the date is over and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go walk back to my place. And he was like, oh, let me walk you. And I was like, no, it's not far. I really don't need that. But he insisted. So he walked me back to my house. He came inside and then he smoked like all of my weed. And I genuinely had to be like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. Goodbye. Incredible. Incredible. Best first date I ever went on.
Yeah, so Hillary and I have a very interesting way of meeting.
This is Alecia and Hillary, a Canadian couple who met at the very beginning of COVID and are now, as of fairly recently, married.
Which was that we met on Tinder at the very beginning of the pandemic. Her profile, she had just the lamest pictures. Hers were just like a picture of her cat, and then she had one picture where she was holding a shield and a sword.
And I mean, Alecia looked cute, but I didn't really see anything coming out of it.
And I was like, you know what, this girl looks interesting. Let me just swipe right and see what happens. Her first message to me was, hey there, you're really pretty.
And I said, hey, you're really pretty, I think.
And I think I just like, if I remember correctly, I just returned the message. I was like, yeah, you're pretty cute too.
I don't know if maybe anybody who's listening or if you are familiar with a lot of the stereotypes, but like for queer women dating on dating apps, the age-old joke is that two people like each other and then nobody talks to one another. So we decided to meet at a local park. I was there first by a pretty substantial margin. And I kind of just sat at a picnic table. I sat on the top with my feet on the bench. Because I guess, I don't know, in my mind I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to sit. Is this cool? Is this okay?
So I rode up on my bike and she was just like coming down her stairs.
Alecia walked up with their bike. And I remember thinking, oh gosh, what are we going to do with this bike? We're going to be on opposite sides of the street. Just overthinking everything.
And I remember the first thing I said to her was, how tall are you?
I know exactly what they said here.
Because she is tiny.
Did they mention my height?
I didn't expect how short she was going to be. So that was like the first thing that threw me off. And you know, she looks on that and laughs now, but I think she was offended back then because she's like 5'2" when she's stretching.
I'm about 5'1", and Alecia is 5'9", I believe. Yeah, that's a pretty substantial gap. Yeah. Do you feel like I catfished you?
No. Oh my god. What?
That was mostly a joke.
Oh. And we just like sat on this rock and we just like talked for a while, and it was really nice. And it just kind of, it was the same, like I said, the same type of conversations we were already having over the phone. It was just having it in real life, and it was just so nice. And I went home smiling.
So when did you guys start talking about marriage? When did that get brought up?
Oh my gosh, I asked her to marry me twice. The first time she said no.
I guess this is going to be maybe more embarrassing for me. I was the slowpoke on that. Alecia asked me many times to marry them, and I kept saying no, no, no.
So when she said no, I was like, that's actually very adult of you, very responsible. I will come back again.
Not that I didn't see myself ever getting married, and not that I didn't see myself marrying them. I actually feel like I was very certain about that very early on, like less than a year in. I think just the gravity of it and the fact that I was so fresh out of grad school and so had so many things that were just bouncing around in my mind. I think I wanted to be clearer headed going into it.
I asked her a second time, and it was like part love, and then part also just like thinking about my life and like thinking about all the changes that were going to be coming up for me, because at the time I was also going through the motions of like getting top surgery approved and knowing that I was going to be undergoing a surgery, maybe like look at things differently, because from a legal perspective, and I know this doesn't sound too romantic, but like from a legal perspective, I wanted to make sure that if anything happened to me, or if like anything happened to me, not like literally dying, but like if there were any complications or anything, she was the person that I wanted to have in that room. You know, she was the person that I wanted to wake up to after all of that and like go through the process with. She was my emergency contact. And part of me was like, well, why, considering this and like literally how our partnership has evolved and like where we are as people, like marriage, I was like, I want to marry you, dude. I want to put a beautiful ring on your finger, and I want to like I want you to understand how committed I am to us and everything.
Marriage was definitely something that I always saw for myself, and it was weird to see that actually kind of crystallize in my mind around a person and not just a concept. But I think we balance each other in a very, very healthy way. That like to the point where our existence, our individual existences are better when we are existing together.
My romantic relationships before Hillary were very much me trying to figure out my place in the world. I grew up feeling so othered and so just like different from everybody else.
So we grew up kind of a similar kind of suburban existence around the actual city of Toronto. I remember knowing some queer out people, but I remember just feeling very tense at the idea of being publicly out.
To me, like finding someone who would know me and know all of me and still choose to stay with me was just like the only thing that I looked for, if that made sense.
Before Alecia, I'd been in several relationships with men, knowing that I was queer. And then one very complicated, problematic relationship with another queer person that I did not see a future with. So, I mean, that didn't really leave me much space to kind of imagine a future, like a serious future with anyone, until Alecia.
We're very, very close. I love her with all my heart.
This is Ashley. Ashley is Alecia's sister and was kind enough to talk to me, a random stranger.
Like I said, you know, we talk about everything, but at the same time, I feel like with Hillary is the most open I've seen.
At some point, it just felt, I don't know, like I just realized, is this what everyone's talking about? Like, this is what love is? Like, even with my family, it was so positive. She didn't meet my family until later on in 2020. I think it was after Thanksgiving, if I have the time right. And it's because we decided to move in together. So my dad and my sister came down.
My dad and I were driving to visit Alecia one evening, and then we showed up, and Alecia kind of just said, "Oh, Hillary's coming over, by the way. You finally get to meet her." And then 2 seconds later, Hillary showed up, and it wasn't kind of like a dinner or anything where we really got to know each other yet. And honestly, I really liked Hillary from the start.
When my sister was leaving, so when they were leaving after like the whole like taking the chair from me, my sister like actually gave her a hug, and I was like, this is crazy.
It's funny because, like I said, I'm a bit more standoffish compared to Alecia. So it's like, you know, meeting people, I don't really give hugs, things like that. But I gave Hillary a hug like the second I saw her. And I didn't realize until after everything when Alecia came over to me and she was like, that was the first time you just like gone up and hugged one of my partners the second you met them. Like, what is it about Hillary that's different? And I honestly can't tell you why. I think I just felt really comfortable.
What is something that you feel people get wrong about your relationship?
Okay, so I'm not binary, but I like present, like, especially since having top surgery, I'm loving showing up like more mask of center.
People just don't know how to gender you. They skip pronouns altogether. You are
yeah. But I feel like in our relationship, people think I'm like the man, you know, like I'm in charge, blah. And I'm like, I'm the littlest guy. I'm just like having a good time. Yeah. My wife is the boss, and I don't mean that in like my wife's the boss, I don't do anything, but like I think you actually take more control in the relationship, and I'm very comfortable with that. Yeah. And people wouldn't expect that. I think they would expect our dynamic to be more like heteronormative because of the way that I present.
People really do expect that. Like they ask questions expecting a certain answer of us in terms of like how we make decisions, or in terms of how we just how we exist in our relationship. Like people will kind of joke around with us like, oh, who's more dominant? And like, it's me.
Yeah, you're definitely
it's me for sure.
Yeah. Not to say that I'm a bottom.
Describe each other in a few words.
Cutie. Beautiful. Those are so cheesy.
You are silly and mischievous, but very loving.
Okay, now compliment each other.
That soup you made was delicious.
Yeah?
No.
Well, yeah, I remember. Are we talking about the first one or the second one?
This soup.
Oh, yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah. Well, I think actually that
take the compliment.
No. I'm explaining the compliment because when anybody listening to that, you wouldn't necessarily think that's a compliment, but if you compliment my food, you compliment my love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you feel love.
And that is exactly that was the bait that got you on that hook in the first place.
Love me some food. Now give me a compliment.
I'm trying to think of the best one, not just like
just throw it out there.
I love how silly you are. I love how
give me a compliment.
You are the silliest goose I've ever met. And I mean that with like a million little cartoon hearts all around every word I just said.
Ooh, I have another compliment, but it's more. I don't know if it's a compliment. It's just like something I really like. You will make an amazing mother.
Oh, you will make an amazing father with air quotes around it.
Oh yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
What do you continue to look forward to in your marriage?
Okay, one, looking forward to continuing to just be so gosh darn happy.
Yeah, I know, it's really nice, huh?
Oh, it's just like, I thought like, we're both like, oh yeah, we're gonna go and get married and nothing's gonna change because everything was already so good. And it's not like anything's necessarily changed,
but like,
just
when
like
you
the
think,
depth.
Yeah, just when you think it can't get better, it does.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell is this? This is so great.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it to just like get sweeter in ways I'm completely blind to.
Yeah, I know.
Because even if I think about last year to this year, it's like, whoa.
I don't like to think about like what I'm looking forward to, because I'm like, every time I think I know what's coming next, something like catches me completely off guard, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's go, buckle up, I'm ready.
I think in general, Alecia is a pretty goofy person, but around Hillary, they're definitely like super goofy. So yeah, just very comfortable, very at peace, very happy for sure. Always happy.
But in the next 5 years, I just look forward to being 5 years deeper in this with you.
Yeah.
Because I think every year that we have just continued to coexist and be on this ride together is so full of wonderful surprises.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In 5 years, I think I look forward to just like, ew. I just look forward to being with you.
Yeah,
And like, if none of the goals that we have right now actually come to fruition, like any of like the material type things,
Yeah.
it won't matter. Our life could look whatever it looks like in 5 years, but as long as it's with you, I'm like, nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's sweet. That's sweet as heck, and I agree. Ditto.
I have intentions to get old and crusty and dusty with her.
And there you have it, folks. A little snippet of a relationship. I hope that you enjoyed it, and please leave a review, please rate it, and come back next week for more. Thanks.